All right, guys, we have made it to our very last lesson on the women's suffrage. So, the 19th Amendment gets ratified. That means it is accepted into the Constitution on August 18th, 1920. So, this movement started in 1848, okay? And it's 1920 before this amendment is added to the Constitution. So, it was what, like 80 years of protests and women fighting for these rights. So for over 70 years, women had worked tirelessly to gain the right to vote. Although some states had secure voting rights for women through state legislation, there wasn't anything federally or nationwide that guaranteed women's rights to vote. Starting with the Women's Rights Convention in 1848, Cady Stanton helped get a movement started that eventually led to the 19th Amendment. And then it included Susan B. Anthony, Lucretia Mott, Lucy Stone, Ida B. Wells, Alice Paul, Lucy Burns, Carrie Chapman Catt. Using different strategies, these women created a strong base of support from lawmakers to end up voting in favor of this amendment to be added to the Constitution. And on June 4th, 1919, the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives voted and added the um, amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Once the resolution was passed, it was up to the states to vote individually on the amendment for the proposed amendment to become part of the U.S. Constitution. Three-fourths of the states had to agree. In 1920, the United States only had 48 states. That meant 36 states had to vote yes in order for this amendment to be ratified. So even though the House of Representatives and the Senate have agreed, the states now have to agree. Okay. So we have to have 36 out of 48. As more and more states voted to ratify the amendment, tensions across the country increased. Tennessee would be the 36th state to approve the amendment. So that was the last state that they needed in order to get the amendment ratified. Several states had already rejected the amendment, and all eyes were on Tennessee for the historic vote. People from all over the country flocked to Tennessee to witness the voting. People opposed to the amendment were called the antis. They wore red roses. People for the amendment, who were called the suffs, wore yellow roses. Within the Tennessee House, the votes were evenly split. With both sides close to victory, the vote was decided by a single tie-breaking vote. Encouraged by a letter from his mother, Harry Byrne cast a yes vote for the amendment and forever changed the American politics. Okay, that is insane. All right, women winning the right to vote was a long sought victory. The 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution guaranteed that women will forever have the right to vote. They cannot be denied. No U.S. citizen can be denied the right to vote based on their gender or their sex. Okay. The National Woman's Party, led by Alice Paul, shifted its focus to another amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which was the Equal Rights Amendment. This proposed amendment would protect women against any discrimination at all based on their gender, okay? That means you couldn't be overlooked for a job based on your gender, stuff like that, okay? The only right guaranteed and applied equally to both men and women by the U.S. Constitution is the right to vote. It is the first and only right affirmed in the Constitution. The Equal Rights Amendment, referred to as the Alice Paul Amendment, was written by Paul in 1923. She believed that the U.S. Constitution should explicitly protect women from discrimination based on their gender. Her position was that the era would provide a clearer judicial standard for deciding cases of discrimination against people of different genders. The ERA has been ratified in 37 states. It needed to pass in 38 states to become ratified and part of the U.S. Constitution. Paul worked tirelessly in the remainder of her life toward this goal. She died in New Jersey in 1977, and she will forever be remembered for her life's work. So they were one state away from approving that vote, okay? Today's visitors to the U.S. Capitol building will be able to see um, different statues of all of these women that fought for these rights, guys. This was really a powerful movement, just as much as the abolitionist movement. and fight for freedom of slaves. Okay, this is just as powerful. So, as in the past couple of days, this is your last assignment to turn in here for reading. So, there's some extra information here, and then make sure you fill in these 2 pages and then click the yellow share button. And remember, if you have any questions, contact me.